From one biennium to the next, seating in the House chamber is never the same. Each election brings with it a new flock of representatives who take the seats of former members who retired or were defeated, while returning members may get shuffled around to make room for the new representatives. There are a few outliers who over the years, and in some cases decades, become stalwart fixtures in one particular spot in the House chamber. Take, for instance, Representative Greg Davids. For more than 20 years, he has sat in either of the back two rows in the chamber, longer than any other current Republican member.
In the back, you can see everything. You can see what's going on the entire House floor, and I like to do that.
Representative Davids hasn't always sat in such a cushy spot. During the 1991-1992 session, he took a seat in the middle of the chamber, and during the 1993-1994 session, he sat in the seating space to the left of the Speaker.
When I was a freshman and a sophomore, you'd have to sit maybe in the middle or a little closer to the front, and it was hard a lot of times when members were talking on the floor to turn around.
So how did Representative Davids come to his current spot? Well, as he gained seniority in the House, his voice on where he wanted to sit grew louder.
This whole seniority thing, I like it better every day that goes by. It just gets a little better.
Caucus leaders say seniority plays an important role on determining where members sit.
We try to pair our members up. Somebody maybe who is incoming and new, we'll put them near a senior member on the floor who has a district that's maybe similar or maybe sits on similar committees so that they can kind of have a natural mentoring relationship. But we try to really put folks where they want to be. And we do that for the most part by seniority.
By seniority. That's how it is. So I think Representative Lilly was in charge of it this year, and he would call members up in order of seniority, and within a class, names are drawn out of a hat to figure out the order within a class, and they get to choose which seat they choose, with a few exceptions. The leadership seats are kind of assigned, but aside from that, it's pure seniority.
Representative Mary Murphy's seniority has helped ensure her spot next to Representative Phyllis Kahn for the past decade. Of all the current House members, they have sat next to each other the longest.
I make the first choice, and then Mary Murphy makes the second choice. And I'm always a little surprised that she still likes to sit near me, because we're kind of diametrically opposed on a couple of issues at least.
When a vacancy in her seatmate came up, I thought, I'm going to sit by Representative Kahn. I didn't know Phyllis Kahn very well then, but I really admired the causes that she had, although there were lots of causes she has that I don't agree with.
But we do like sitting next to each other. We, talk together, reminisce together, and so forth.
Besides the great company, Kahn says her seat gives her plenty of space to maneuver.
And I like the easy access to everything. You don't have to get over people.
We talked to some of the other senior members as to what makes a good seat on the House floor. They say the back isn't the only place that offers ample legroom.
Do you notice anyone to my left and right? No. So there's nobody chatter, there's no clutter. Do you notice that if someone's going to drop something on my desk, a page or an intern, are they going to have to walk behind me and bump into several people? No.
Representative Gene Pulowski likes his location so much, he sat there for more than 2 decades. Representative Tony Cornish also prefers his seat in the front. He says it was a welcome change after sitting in the back during the 2005-2006 session.
Well, when you're sitting in the back, people are constantly hitting your chair every time they go by, or rubbing papers on your head, or there's a lot of hustle bustle with reporters and things in the back. Up front, you're closest to the coffee, you're closest to the bathroom, you're closest to the speaker.
So I bet you're wondering just how much legroom these representatives have. Well, I brought a tape measure for us to find out. From the back of Representative Kahn's chair to where the press gather in the alcove, it is about 41 inches. From the back of Representative Cornish's chair to the desk behind him, It is about 15.5 inches. Let's compare those two measurements to a chair that's more in the middle of the chamber. Representative Mason sits right here. There are 3 rows in front of her and 3 rows behind her. From the back of her chair to the desk behind her, it's about 17 inches. Representative Mason has less leg room than a member who sits in the back row, but more immediate space behind her than Representative Cornish, who sits in the front row. Yet one has to take into account peripheral space when considering available room House members have to work with. Representative Cornish does have space around his desk, so he can easily move in and out of his chair. Members in the back row say they can also move more freely than those in the middle.
Just physically, to be able to get in and out of the seats, you start getting in the middle and you're having to move people up a little bit or ask them to move their chair up. In the back, you just go to your chair and there's no problem. There's plenty of room in the back, and it's just a lot better seating as far as I'm concerned.
The one year that I had to sit kind of right out in the middle, I felt like I was right in the middle of things, and I don't know, people were all around all the time. It's just kind of nice being back in the corner, sort of on your own.
The representatives we spoke to say they are content to continue sitting where they are now, and thanks to their seniority, they don't have too much competition for their coveted chairs.
Can't imagine not sitting in the back row. And my seniority has earned me a seat in the back row if that's what I want.
Sometimes it's not where you sit, but who you sit by that makes it the best seat in the House.